Hello, Espresso Agent Nation. How is everybody? This is Monica Weekly again. If you've been on many of these calls, I have been hosting them over a period of time, so I'm really happy to be on the call with you guys again today, and thank you for being on time. You guys are the rock stars. And for that, I have a joke for you. So a little starting off entertainment, get our day started off right, okay? So real estate agent walks into his manager's office and he says, I need a raise in my commission. I'm giving you guys too much money and I need to keep more of my money. There are all kinds of companies after me, and the manager just looks at him and he says, oh, is that right? He says, well, what other companies are after you? And the agent says, the electric company, the telephone company, the gas company. Oh, I wish you guys weren't on mute because I bet you're really laughing. Anyway, welcome all. Thank you, Janice, for saying that's funny. I really appreciate that feedback. All right, welcome to another one of our Espresso Agent Master Classes. I'm so happy you guys are all here. Again, my name's Monica Weekly. I'm with Keller Williams here in Cincinnati, and I'm just happy to always have the opportunity to be with you guys and to meet some incredible mega agents like the one we have on the call with us today, John Ames. John, are you there?
I am here.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate it. Couple housekeeping items for all the agents on the call. We have you muted, but of course we want you to ask your questions and interact with us as we go through here. Feel free to use the chat function on our Meeting Burner program to ask your questions, and we'll try to get to those at the end. We'll leave some time with John to answer any of your questions that come up. Also, just a reminder, we have another Agent Master class on October 26th. This time it's going to be at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard. It's an incredible agent named Lee Davenport. She's got some great tech tips, and she's very sought after and very energetic, and I think you'll really enjoy your time with her. And that's on October 26th at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You will be receiving something from the great folks at Espresso Agent regarding that, as usual. I think that's it. Let's get started with John. John works in the St. George area of Utah, which is absolutely gorgeous countryside. He started his professional life in a really different direction, actually. He got his master's in accounting at BYU and spent a lot of time as a business consultant and an auditor, and finally as a chief financial officer for a Wall Street company. Decided for one reason or the next that just wasn't going to work for him, and I believe he kind of just quit and told his wife, you're moving to Utah. Is that right, John?
That is correct.
I love that. So you hired a coach right out of the gate. I believe you hired Mike Ferry, and in your first year you did how many deals?
My first year I closed 84 transactions.
That's a solid first year. I think everyone on this call could give you kudos for that. That's incredible. Yeah. Today he has a team of 11, 6 of which are buyer's agents, and as of our call the other day, you've done 240 deals so far this year with 46 pending, and that is an incredible year. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome. So when he's not selling real estate and spending time growing his team and growing his business, he loves the outdoors, ATVs, horses, and has a cabin in the mountain where he escapes. So that all sounds great. I'm really excited, John, to have you on the call with our Espresso Agent Nation here because you have such an incredible systematic approach to the business. I mean, think about his background. He's probably, if you're a disc person, he's probably a very high C. And we can all, no matter what your personality type, we can all really learn from somebody like John, who really has just put some systems and models in place to prevent the failure, to prevent the decision-making and what you do and how you spend your day. So welcome, John. Did I miss anything in your intro?
No, that's a pretty good intro. Thank you very much.
Yes, of course. How can they reach you? How can everybody on the call reach you if they have a referral to come your way in St. George, Utah?
I appreciate that. I appreciate Espresso agents, and I refer within the organization as well. So everybody out there, if you need to reach me, it's Ames. I'm sorry, Ames Team, AMESTEAM, Ames Team at SG like St. George Remax.com. Or you can just enter Ames Real Estate in Utah, and I'll pop up pretty quick, I promise.
I bet you will. I bet you will. That's awesome. All right, guys, if you have any referrals out that way, be sure to send them to John. You know that your clients will be in good hands. So, John, let's start diving right in. Tell me kind of about your mindset about real estate when you made this leap from corporate America into real estate. What was the mindset around that, and how did you get your mind right?
So that's a really good and important question because, as you mentioned, I came out of a corporate background. I kind of rode the rocket in terms of I had a great career at a Big 8 accounting firm. I did consulting for Fortune 50 companies. I had about 130 consultants that worked for me all over the United States and internationally on projects. We did really, really cool consulting projects, the stuff that I was in charge of for the firm. And I just got burned out on travel. I lived on airplanes. I would see my family on the weekends, and sometimes they missed the weekends, so decided to make a transition. But the most important thing that I learned out of that time and environment was how valuable our time is, regardless of what profession you were in, and using your time for revenue generation activities. So I was coming out of an environment where my salary was $400,000 my last year when I left the corporate environment, and I was not going to take a pay cut. I was determined I am not going to take a pay cut. I'm going to increase my compensation. So I had to figure out what the value chain is or how realtors make money, and I had to do it really quickly because I had 3 kids. I'd moved to a new market that I had no experience in. I didn't know anyone here. And so to that point, I went to what I now believe is the #1 coach in real estate to learn how I optimize my time, Monica, on a daily basis in terms of revenue generation. So to that point, here's my daily schedule. I'm at my call center at 8 o'clock or before most mornings, unless I have a listing appointment that the only time they could meet was between 8 and 9 o'clock. And it's very rare that I take a listing appointment before 10 o'clock. At the call center from 8 to 10, my entire team shows up at my call center at 9:15. We have a daily sales huddle for 15 minutes. And that activity is specifically geared towards what is everyone on my team supposed to do that day. So my question is, do each of you know what you're supposed to do each day by hour of the day? Because if not, you're not optimizing your time in terms of your daily activities. And then I prospect in the mornings. I set appointments during that time. Many of you probably set appointments and then go do a listing packet or CMAs. I don't do any of that. That's all emailed to one of my assistants. I prospect. I drive to my other office. I pick up my listing packets. They're all prepped, all ready to go. My marketing director has already sent the prospective listing appointment at least 2 emails, including a video link about me and my team on a little video I have. They'll also get stats about the St. George market. They'll also get a sample of the 3 reports they're going to get from my team on a weekly basis. They'll also get a copy of my last weekly real estate report that I syndicate nationally to over 12,000 people. So I rely a lot on delegation and empowering people on my team so that I can optimize my team in terms of revenue generation.
Oh my gosh, there's so much good stuff in there. I love that. Thank you for kind of laying that out for us, and we can dive into a few of these points. And guys, I know that not all of us on the call here have teams, and you may or may not be even wanting to go in that direction. I think it's important to understand the principles that, John, you've probably laid in from the beginning apply across whether you're by yourself or with just one assistant or running a team of 11, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it doesn't matter whether you're a team of 2 or 11 like me. There are certain activities that you as a realtor, if you're doing them, you're paying yourself $10 an hour for admin work. Why are you doing that?
Right.
If nothing else, hire one assistant, bring him in 2 to 4 hours a day, Have them do all your administration, all your packets, everything, because your job is to be either generating appointments with clients or being out at appointments with clients. Everything else you should be delegating.
I love it. Let me dial all the way back to when you decided you were not going to take a pay cut and you wanted to make $400,000 a year in a business that you'd never been in a town you didn't know a soul, and in a market that you really didn't probably understand at the level you do now, of course.
Yep.
What strikes me about that is when we get into the market or when we are new into the market, we set goals, and maybe it's, let's just make $60,000, or I think the average realtor makes $45,000. I just want to beat that. But you didn't even give yourself a moment to stair step. You just said, I'm going all the way. And I think that's really unique. So break that down for me, and why, of course you had to do that, right? But break that down for me, why that's important.
Okay. Well, and the answer to that question is this. It's a philosophy of what is it you have in your head. Because most agents get caught up in the trap of what traditional agents do. And if they're new in the business, most brokers will tell them you might get fortunate to do 6 to 10 transactions in your first year, maybe. Well, I don't hang out with those people. I don't even talk to those people. The mindset in terms of what I generated in my head was I wanted to be around people that were generating $1 million a year in real estate income. So from day one, I went and found people all over the United States who would allow me to be their friends and or to have calls with them regularly to help me understand what I have to do to be $1 million a year agent. And I felt like I could become the best agent in my marketplace with my skill and background as to where I came from. I just didn't know everything about real estate. But I was determined enough with my skill set and motivation. If you can't tell, I'm pretty type A driven. No means yes. In my prior world that I came out of, there was no tomorrow for anything ever. When you run a Wall Street company, there's no tomorrow. It's expected today, and it doesn't matter what you already have on your plate. If we give you 3 things more, you're still going to get it all done before the sun comes up tomorrow. So I still work with that same mentality and attitude. I don't put in near the hours that I used to. But here's the point. You are the only one who's going to decide how much you're going to make today with your 8 hours in the business. It's your decision only. No one else has that. As I walk into my office in my call center, my whole call center has about 15 slogans up on the walls. And the first one you see says, this is where you leave your bad attitude, your negative thoughts, your excuses, your whining, and your bullshit. And it has an arrow pointing down to a garbage can. That's right at the door. And then next to it, it says, through these doors walks champions, successful people, positive thinkers, and makers of change. And then on the door, in gold leaf, it says, welcome to the Mint, where you make your dreams come true. But more importantly, when you walk inside the doors, there are 3 signs, and one of them has a large mirror on it, and it says, meet the person who decides how much you make today.
Wow. I love that. That's awesome. That's an exercise we all could do the minute we're walking out the door or as we're brushing our teeth every morning.
So in my world, I only think of at least $6,000 a day. That's what I generate net to me in my business every single day is at least $6,000. And I think in terms of those. So you guys decide what you're going to put in your head and what you're going to get, but I'm going to go find $6,000 a day in St. George in my market to put in my pocket for me and my family. That's my positive mindset.
That's great. It sounds like you really built a habit of urgency, and that came from your Wall Street experience. But how can people build that habit of urgency? Because that's just a habit for you to think like that.
It is. And it's partly because of my Wall Street background. But here's the other thing that's so interesting in real estate, and every single one of you can relate to this, because it's so interesting when I get new team members on my team, and we take them through our training process, and I'll be here in my call center with anywhere from 6 to 10 of them every morning on the phones, and I'll overhear conversations with agents on my team when they're first on my team. When they first start on my team, I'll hear them setting an appointment for 2 or 3 or 4 days out, and then they'll get off the phone and they'll say, John, I just set an appointment for 3 days from now with this seller, and no one else knows. Guys, I laugh out loud because that is probably the single largest mistake that agents make, is because they believe they have an advantage because they have a friend or someone who hasn't talked to anyone else. Well, let me tell you, the number one thing you better believe in real estate is if you know about it, everybody knows about it. And that's the mindset that me and my team have, is if we know about it, there's at least 10 other people know about it. And if we're going to have a competitive edge, it is get off the phone and get out to that client. If there's a buyer, go get them now. Make them meet you today. Make them meet you tonight. Go to their office at noon. Same thing on listing appointments. If they say I can't meet until Wednesday and it's Monday, I don't take that for an answer. My team knows. I'll tell them, can you meet me at noon? I'll come to your office. Can your wife meet me there? Can I meet you right at 5:30 at your house for 20 minutes? And because of that, I know we take another probably 30 plus or minus transactions a year because I was the first one there with the urgency that we created.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Take us back to when you first started and you didn't have everybody to rely on to help you build your packets or to make your day a little easier. How did you spend your days when you were focused on making $400,000 a year by yourself?
Okay, good question. So when I signed up for Mike Ferry and I attended my first event, I didn't even have my license yet. And I was taken up and introduced to Mike Ferry, and Mike always asks people, how long have you been in real estate? And I said, I'm not yet. And he looks at me and says, you're not licensed yet? I said, no. And he looked at me, and then he smiled and shook my hand. He said, you're going to be a successful realtor. Because to that point, I knew that I couldn't get to where I wanted to go without some help. And I was willing to invest to eliminate the other activities. So your question, ask your question again. I got off track.
Well, how did you spend your days when you were just by yourself trying to make sure you earned that $400,000?
Okay. So what's interesting was before I left to go to that Mike Ferry event, I selected the brokerage. I interviewed for 3 days the brokerages. I selected RE/MAX. And the next day I ran ads for an assistant. And so the second day I was in the office at RE/MAX, my license hadn't even showed up yet. My broker sees these people coming in and sitting in the reception area asking for John Ames. And my broker comes out and says, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm interviewing assistants. Can you imagine the look on your broker's face if you hadn't got your license yet and you're interviewing assistants? My broker looks at me like, what in the world? You don't need an assistant. What in the world? Well, yes, I do. Because I learned from my prior life, I wanted to focus solely on revenue generation activities from day one. So for my very first day, I picked up the phones to start prospecting. I had an assistant in my office, and all the return phone calls that person would take, and my first assistant worked 2.5 hours a day for the first month and a half. And what they were doing in the mornings while I was prospecting was I would have them print 4 subdivisions of my marketplace. They would print all the homes that are currently active. They would print all the homes that were currently pending. They would print all the homes that had closed in the last 30 days. And they'd print 4 subdivisions in a packet for me. And so I would prospect until 1 o'clock in the afternoons. I'd run to McDonald's, drop $1, get 2 hamburgers for $1. Then I would take those packets and I would go out to those neighborhoods. I'd go to subdivision 1. I'd knock on the door and preview every property that was listed active. I would then go do the same on the houses that were under contract. And then I would go drive the addresses of the ones that had sold in the last 30 days. And then I would go knock every single door in that neighborhood until it was done. And I would get up to 4 subdivisions a day because I would knock doors until 9:30 at night. My family hadn't moved here yet, and so it was late summer, so I had nice cool evenings, and I'd go out and knock doors till 9:30. So when you ask how did I do 85 transactions my first year, that's how I did it. And I did that every single day, 6 days a week for 4 months until my family moved here. And then I did that 3 nights a week thereafter for the first 9 months.
Wow, that is incredible. And you were picking up listings from that door knocking, I'm imagining, and educating yourself on every aspect of the market.
Yep. And within a couple of weeks in my office, agents knew, hey, if I'm looking for a house for a client that I can't find, I got the reputation is go see John in the mornings because he'll find that house for you knocking doors. And so that's the relationship I had for the first year with my office was to grow my business. I would do that. But in the meantime, you asked, what do I do with assistants? My assistant was handling all the follow-up, doing all the CMA packets while I'd be out knocking doors for just 2.5 hours a day. You can hire a college student for $9 or $10 an hour and have them do all those things that you don't need to be doing. I mean, guys, I know in my world, if I come to my call center and I lock and load and put my headset on, in 2 hours I can find a transaction, guaranteed, in 2 hours. But I'm not looking at emails. I'm not taking inbound phone calls. I'm not looking at closing files. I'm not arranging or scheduling inspections or financing issues. I'm on the phone with my headset on hunting to find another $6,000. Is your mindset that clear for you guys? Do you really get in the zone where you clear the deck in terms of going and finding a transaction?
That is such a great way to put it and such a great question. And I think another aha for me is, as you were saying when you hired your assistant on the first day, if you are doing that work, then you are an assistant. That
right.
You have to think about what work are you doing, how much money would you normally be making doing that. And if you want to make more than $10 an hour, then you need to be not doing that work.
So here's a little exercise I go through because I speak pretty regularly and I attend conferences and I do a presentation called the Dr. Ames, the Doctor of Real Estate. And here's the question I would ask you. You all know a doctor somewhere in your community, and you all know that people talk about doctors in terms of how wealthy doctors are, right? So doctors, not because they're smart people, because there are other people smart ahead of doctors that taught doctors. You know when you go to the doctor's office, the doctor's not standing there waiting for you. He's not there at the door with his hand out. You're going to go to the front desk. They're going to get all your billing information, right? Then you're going to sit down and wait 30 minutes. Then you're going to have a nurse come and get you. They're going to take you to the scale, maybe the bathroom. Then you're going to go sit in the office again, in the waiting room. Then another person's going to come in, check your blood pressure, your eyes, and so forth. Now you've been there an average of 45 minutes to an hour, and you still haven't seen the doctor. So translate that to yourself as a real estate person. That doctor is going from room to room to room to room. They want to be in 6 to 8 rooms an hour and bill as many what are called ICD-9 codes as they can an hour. When they look at your nose, they bill $11 for that. When they look at your ears, that's an ICD-9 code that they charge $12 for. They take your blood pressure, that's a $6 ICD-9. They're trying to bill as many of those codes as they can per hour the insurance company will pay, right? So if a doctor makes $600,000 a year and they work 2,000 hours a year, what's the math on that, okay? 2,000 hours, they make $600,000. That means they make $300 an hour as a doctor, all right? So here's the question I ask all of you. If there's 2,000 hours a year that you work as a realtor, let's say you guys made $120,000 last year. So $120,000 divided by 2,000, that says your run rate is $60 an hour. You're a pretty expensive admin person at $60 an hour. You're touching files and scheduling showings, right? My run rate is $900 an hour. So I'm as or more expensive than the best paid attorneys in the United States. So I think about my time all day and every minute at $900 an hour. So I assure you that John Ames and my team and my assistants know don't get John off track and keep him on $900 activities versus having to mess with files. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's amazing, and I'm just laughing at the Espresso agent people needing to send you $900 for this call because your time is important.
There you go.
I'm just kidding. That's right. Wow, I really love that analogy. Thank you for that. That's kind of a mindset shift for a lot of people, probably.
It is. It is. It's pretty eye-opening.
That's great. That's great. Let me get back to the idea of your call center, because I understand that this is a designated space where you and your entire team focus on nothing but that.
Right.
And so I wondered if you could help the folks on the call that may not be a part of a team, help with some ideas on how they can create the call center mentality in their mind every day as a part of their regular schedule.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, again, back in my Wall Street days, I typically had large sales forces and or customer service centers, and we'd have anywhere from 60 to 300 customer service reps in my company, and we'd have large call centers. And the call centers were for customer service activities or for outbound calling activities. So what I learned from that, and by building those and managing those with my companies, was that the people that go into those rooms, just by going in that room, it changes a mindset for them. So I wanted to create an environment for my team members where when they go in that place, their mindset changes at the door. And as well, we have guidelines as to what you can do in our call center. As an example, in my call center, you're not allowed to talk about, I had a bad day yesterday. You're not allowed to talk about the deal that fell apart yesterday. You're not allowed to talk about what you're planning to do this weekend in terms of weekend activities. The only thing you're allowed to talk about when you walk through the doors of my call center is today's production and successes. So when anyone wins a success in my call center in the morning, you know those easy buttons? We have easy buttons in there, and they ring the easy button. Or someone, when they get off the phone, they'll yell and cheer, we'll all clap and celebrate with them. So if you can create an environment, even in your office like that, where you have a separate office, you can put a sign on the door that says, do not disturb prospecting. And when you go in that room, you're going to tell yourself, I'm not going to do emails. I'm not going to take other phone calls. I'm not going to work on files. I am only going to work on production activities. So that's the mindset that we've tried to create with this environment here. And after you spend your 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, depending upon the day it is, then you can go back to the rest of the world. Because guys and girls, if you have an assistant, there isn't one thing that can't wait 2 hours for you. It doesn't exist. So you guys can fill your time with doing those activities and trying to take up your time, or you can have that assistant protect you for 2 hours so you can go get your groove and get revenue generation done. So that's the environment and mindset that we have with my team, and that's ingrained in every person on my team, and every person that I interview and hire knows from our contract, this is what we do, and this is what we do every morning, and every person is required to do it. But if you do this, when I put a buyer agent on my team as an example, a buyer agent, first-year buyer agent on my team has never made less than $65,000 their first year. My highest earning buyer agent on my team has made $350,000 in a year.
Wow.
So
that's great. That's awesome. Are you still calling? Do you call expireds and FSBOs in the morning when you're doing your calling, or who are you calling?
I love expireds and FSBOs, and thank you, Espresso agent, for providing those to me.
That's awesome.
I've made, in the last 14 years, I've probably made in excess of $3 million on expireds and FSBOs, at least $3 million.
Oh, that's awesome. Could we, do you mind if we role play an expired call?
You want to do expired call?
Yeah. Can we role play it?
Absolutely. Hang on one second. Let me drink. Let me get a drink.
Sure. Just think everybody would probably love to hear your script.
You want to do a FSBO or expired?
Let's do an expired. Or whichever. What do you prefer?
Let's do a FSBO. Let me get a drink.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Give me a call.
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, is this the owner of the home for sale?
It is.
This is John Ames with Remax First Realty. I'm calling about the home for sale. I'm doing a survey of all the for sale by owners in the area, and I was wondering, when you sell this house, where are you moving to?
Well, wait, you're doing a survey?
Yes, I am. Absolutely. I survey all the for sale by owners every morning in the St. George area. And you're moving to where?
Actually, we're moving to Ohio.
Ohio, that's exciting. And how soon do you have to be in Ohio?
No deadline. We're just going to be with our grandkids.
Oh, no deadline, and you're moving with your grandkids. Well, that would be exciting. And tell me again your first name.
My name's Monica.
Monica, let me ask you a question. Did you want to be in Ohio with your grandkids for Christmas and Thanksgiving, or did you want to be there next year sometime?
It really doesn't matter. We'll be there for Christmas anyway, and so it doesn't really matter.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, Monica, how would you rate your motivation on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I would say it's a 10. We're definitely going to do this.
10, good for you. And what methods are you using for marketing your home?
Well, we put a sign in the yard. We're pretty sure we can get it sold by ourselves. Our neighbors did, and so we're not going to list with another agent.
Okay, so you put a sign in the yard, you said, and a neighbor sold their house, and you're not planning to sell with an agent, right?
Right.
Monica, let me ask you a question, Monica. If I could do all the work for you, if I could do all the marketing for you, if I could bring you pre-qualified buyers on a daily basis and handle all the paperwork and net you the money that you wanted, would you consider listing your home with me?
Well, I don't know if you could do all that, but if we were going to list with an agent, we have a really good friend that we would probably use.
I appreciate that. You know, and everybody that sells a house usually knows 4 to 10 of the realtors. But Monica, can I ask you a question? Do you want to do your friend a favor, or do you and your husband want to net the most out of this home sale so you have every penny you can get for the home you're going to buy back by the grandkids? Which is more important to you?
Well, of course, we wouldn't be doing her a favor. We think she's a good agent, and she'd do a good job for us. So that's why we would select her. And we trust her and know her and all those sort of things.
Would it make sense to spend 10 minutes with me to show you my marketing presentation and how I sell at least 25 homes a month before you sign that contract with your friend? Just 10 minutes? Would that make sense?
I don't know. You probably have to ask my husband.
I understand. So my point being, guys, I can answer this objection 15 different ways, and she is going to give me the appointment. A for sale by owner or an expired does not tell me no, because I have 30
Because you're not getting
objections.
off the phone.
You're not going to get off the phone with me. You're going to either hang up on me, or you're going to set an appointment with me and or one of my team members. And more importantly is in the morning when we're doing the for sale by owners expireds, those for sale by owners expireds are getting phone calls from at least 3 of us within a 15-minute time frame. Okay, so let's finish the script. So, Monica, how did you determine your sales price?
Well, based on what the neighbors sold it for, and our house is a little bit nicer than that.
Great. So your house is nicer, and you saw what the home sold for across the street. And are you prepared to adjust your price down when you're working with a buyer?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. How much time will you take before you'll consider listing with a powerful agent, Monica?
I don't know. I think we want to try it for at least a couple weeks.
At least a couple weeks. Okay, great. Monica, did you know that the NAR says that over 90% of all for sale by owners list their house within 10 days?
No, I didn't realize that.
It's actually a fact. So to that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop by your house about 4 o'clock today. I'm going to drop by some information while I'm there, and I want to look through your house because, again, I sell 20 to 25 properties a month, and there's a really good chance I have a buyer looking for your house that wants to be under contract the next 3 weeks that I'm currently working with. Would it be okay if I sold your house in the next 10 days?
That'd be great.
Good. I'm going to stop by at 4 o'clock. I'll bring a packet of information with me. Let's take a look, and we'll be able to determine in 10 minutes whether or not I can help you and whether or not you'd like my assistance. Fair enough?
That sounds good.
Great. And then I would go back into my pre-qualification checklist and ask another 7 questions before I go on an appointment. So the point being is that for sale by owners expireds, it's something that we do every single day. We know the scripts inside out and backwards. We know the 30 objection handles. And if you guys want that stuff, all you have to do is log on to the MikeFerry.com website, and all the scripts are there, and they're free.
great. That's awesome. That was very, very good. Loved it. Thank you for that.
Sure.
So let's see.
Michael, let me make one more point. So a lot of you guys out there, some of you probably prospect and some of you don't. Some of you probably call for sale by owners expired, some of you don't. But this I would guess, if you're like most agents, you don't want to call for sale by owners expireds because, and this is the number one reason that agents don't call for sale by owners expireds, you don't know what to say. If you have a script in front of you and you have the objection handles in front of you and you get comfortable with those, you will no longer be fearful of talking to for sale by owners expireds because there's nothing they can say to throw you off base because all you have to do is go right back to the script. So I don't care if people yell at me. I don't care if they scream at me. I don't care if they try and put me off for 10 days. I'm going to the house, or one of my team members are. There's one of the quotes I have in my call center up on the wall. It says, the best four-letter word in real estate prospecting is ... in big, bold, blue letters, next.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care about the ones that tell me no or yell and scream. I'm only looking for the one today that's going to tell me yes. And that's the whole goal of the script and making calls is finding the one that says yes. Go ahead, Martha.
Great. We had a couple of questions that are just pertaining to this little role play session, so I'm going to interrupt and do those instead of waiting, if that's okay. One of the questions was, it's easy when you have a track record like you do, and you can say, hey, I sell 25 homes a month, and, certainly that helps your cause a bit. What did you say, or what do you advise people to say when they don't have a personal record yet of success?
So you actually do have a personal record. You just didn't know it. So when I go on my appointments and when I'm on the phone, I can say I sell 20 to 25 homes a month, and last month in your price range I sold 16 homes or whatever it is. All you have to do is change the word from I to we, meaning if you're a new agent or you don't have a large production record, all you have to do is use your office stats.
Mm-hmm.
So run a report for your office, whether you're RE/MAX or ERA or Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams, and see how many properties your office sold last month in that price range or whatever it may be. So you can say, my office or our office sold 62 homes last month. And once you get a track record like I have now after 14 years, then you can stop saying our office and you can say I. But that's all I did was my first 9 months or so, I just said my office. They don't care.
And we, right, yeah.
Yeah, so just change the word from I to our office and use your office stats. Works great. I teach new agents that all the time. Good question.
Love it, love it. And what are you leaving behind, one, when you just are door knocking, and two, in that example of the FSBO, you said I'm going to bring something to you. What are the contents of those packets?
Good question. So remember I told you that agents in my office would tell me, hey, John, I'm looking for an X house or an X buyer. So that made it really easy for me that day to decide what subdivisions I was going to go to. If someone came in and John said, hey, John, I've looked. I've shown all the best properties in the 260 to 290 range on this side of town. I need a 4-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage under $290,000. So I would take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and on the top half and the bottom half, I would just copy it. I would say, wanted, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, between 1,800 and 2,100 square feet, or 290,000 or less. And then I put my contact information on there. You know what you have to do. Every door that I knocked, I would hand that to them, or I would put it on the doorknob with a rubber band.
Okay.
That was if I had a specific buyer I was looking for. In the case of the other ones, I would leave a similar flyer on the door that would say, X homes recently sold in your neighborhood. I have more buyers looking in this price range. If you'd be interested in selling your property, contact me. That's another one I would do. And the third one would do, if I could see they were for sale by owner or expired, I would send that to my assistant. She would do a full listing packet. And when I get to that house, I'd go out to my car, grab that listing packet and all the information with it, including the CMA, and that's what I would hand to them at the door and or try and get in the door and do the presentation right then. So I never went out and knocked doors without leaving something.
Great. Love that. And then Gerald wanted to know what the website was for the scripts. What's the Mike Ferry website again?
Go to MikeFerry.com.
MikeFerry.com.
There's a tab called Scripts and Dialogues. And if you don't have experience with scripts and dialogues and you really want to learn them, you can go to one of Mike Ferry's 2 schools. You can go to his 2-day prospecting school, where you'll show up either in Florida or in Las Vegas. You'll go to their call center with coaches sitting there, and you'll learn the scripts, and you're going to prospect live for 2 days in the call center with coaches helping you and listening to you while you make outbound phone calls. So it's a great way to learn the scripts with a coach over your shoulder helping you live. Or you can go to what's called the Sales Talk Workshop. That's a 4-day workshop. And you go to that class, and they teach it all over the United States. There'll be one somewhere near you during the year. You can go to that 4-day workshop, and you're going to go to a class in the mornings for about 4 hours where you learn the scripts and you role play out loud with hundreds of people. And then you go back to your room in the afternoon and you prospect for a couple of hours. And the next morning you go back to class, you report your results, and you work on another script. So if you go to that class, at the end of the 4 days, you know all the Mike Ferry scripts verbatim.
That's great. I have been to that prospecting school in Vegas, and it is good. It's brutal and good all in the same same couple of days. Yeah, it's amazing.
I've been to that prospecting school about 15 times.
Wow, that's cool. Do you know how many calls you need to make in order to get an appointment?
I do. As a matter of fact, if you'll give me just 1 second, I will go in and log into what's called my analyzer. So if you're in the one-on-one coaching with Mike Ferry, you have to report your numbers every day, and you report them electronically into what we call Analyzer. So if you know any Mike Ferry agents in their one-on-one program, you can ask them about what their stats are, because they know their stats every day. So let me pull mine up. I'll tell you what my stats are as of right now, year to date.
And that's one of the reasons I asked you. I find that through talking to a lot of mega agents that are having great success, most every one of them knows, I have to talk to this many people to get an appointment. And quite frankly, the numbers are all over the board. You can be incredibly successful and still only, need to talk to 30 people to get one appointment. At least you know now what your number is to hit your goals.
Right.
So I was just curious if you track that, or obviously it's tracked for you, but
I can certainly tell you that I track my numbers. So year to date for 2016, I've prospected an average of 2.91 hours a day. I make an average of 21.36 contacts per day. My contacts per hour averages 7.34 contacts an hour. My hours prospected per listing appointment is 4.24 hours. My hours prospected per listing taken is 4.6 hours per listing taken. My percentage of listings taken, meaning for every listing I go on, what percentage do I take? I have a 92.14 list percentage. So 92% of the time, I get the listing.
That's great. That's very high. That's good.
Yep.
What stat stuck out to me, though, is the one right before that to get an appointment, you need to prospect for 4-point-some hours. And I think that for me, that lets me know it's okay when I can dial a whole day and not get an appointment. Because if you're only prospecting 2.91, you might not get an appointment that day. And you just say, Success. I did it. I prospected for 2 hours. On to the next.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? It's sort of, what do you define as successful? It's just it's the commitment to the process.
Right.
Versus the appointment. That's interesting. That's good. All right. Do we have any, John, is there anything else you want to share on the subject of dialing for dollars and either mindset or some other tricks or some other tips that we might have missed?
Yep. So one of the things that is really helpful is if you're going to get yourself in a daily mindset of doing those things, when you leave the house in the morning, if you have a friend or a spouse or whoever, or the kids, you tell them you go to work, right? I'm going to work for the day. But no one really tracks what you did for the day. You don't have to report to a boss. Most of us don't tell our spouses what you did for the day. My wife usually asks how my day was and what we did because my wife's really involved in our business. So to that point, it would be really helpful to all of you to get a daily accountability partner. And a daily accountability partner is someone you're going to call once a day. And my call is at 6 o'clock at night with a gentleman in Tennessee. And we have a 5-minute or less discussion where we have to give 3 statistics. And then we have to talk about what our most challenging situation for the day was. And that's what my daily accountability call is. So you guys should get an accountability partner. And it cannot be someone in your office. It can't be a close friend because you're going to go back to talking about other things and non-business things. The purpose of an accountability call is to do just that, to be accountable as to what you did with your day. So go get an accountability partner that you know is reliable and you can talk to every day at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 2 o'clock where you can report your numbers and they can help you. You know, if you're having a bad day, if I'm having a bad day and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I had something happen that kind of stressed me or punched my button or I didn't know what to do, I just pick up the phone. I Bernie dial. I dial Bernie. And if we see our phone ring during the day and it's one of us, we know, hey, it's probably someone reaching out and needs my help right now. So go get an accountability partner and don't do it in your office. It doesn't work.
That's great. That's great. Good advice. Thank you, John. I think we answered the questions that were on there. We did that a little bit out of order. If there's any other questions, pop those in right now. Otherwise, I just cannot thank you enough for your time. There was some really good stuff in there. I love that.
Glad to help.
Love it. Absolutely. Any other questions? Go ahead.
My last comment to everyone.
Sure.
So today is October 18th, right?
19th.
19th, sorry. Yep. So if I look at my calendar, the 10th, 17th. So if I get this right, I believe November 24th is Thanksgiving, right? Or Thursday?
Yep.
All right, guys. So I'm going to challenge all of you to dig in and work hard for the next 3.5 weeks until Saturday, the 19th of November. 30 days. Because most agents start taking their foot off the gas right now and slacking, thinking Thanksgiving coming, holidays are starting to come, I'm going to, If you guys want to have a great December and January, which are usually the 2 slowest months of the year, you got to kick butt the next 30 days. So you guys dig in the next 30 days. You go back to work 2 nights a week for 2 hours. You pick 2 nights a week for the next 4 weeks. And you pick 2 Saturdays to go into work for 2 hours. And see what that does to your December and January.
Love it. That's awesome. All right. I wish we had some sort of ability for accountability on that. It would be very cool because I think that would help. We'll think about how to make that happen.
There you go.
That is great. John, thanks again. You're the best. Best of luck to you. And you don't need any luck, but good luck in hitting your goals this year. I know you'll do it.
Well, thanks to Espresso and all you guys do for me and my team and my business with all you do for us. So thanks for your help.
Awesome. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Monica?